Deterrence. Deterrence is a key aspect of the strategic defense strategy, particularly in the context of national security and military defense. Here's a comprehensive overview of deterrence as a key aspect of the strategic defense strategy. Definition. Deterrence refers to the use of military capabilities and other means to dissuade potential adversaries from taking hostile actions against a nation or its allies. The goal of deterrence is to prevent conflict by convincing potential aggressors that the costs of their actions would outweigh any potential gains. Types of deterrence. Nuclear deterrence. This form of deterrence relies on the possession and potential use of nuclear weapons to dissuade adversaries from engaging in hostile actions. It is based on the concept of mutually assured destruction, MAD, where the prospect of catastrophic retaliation deters nuclear aggression. Conventional deterrence. Conventional deterrence involves the use of a nation's conventional military capabilities to dissuade adversaries. This can include a robust military presence, advanced weapon systems, and the ability to project power regionally or globally. Extended deterrence. Some nations extend deterrence guarantees to allies, promising to come to their defense in the event of an attack. This form of deterrence is aimed at reassuring allies and partners while deterring potential aggressors from targeting allied nations. Deterrence and defense policy. National security strategy. Deterrence is often a central component of a nation's national security strategy. It shapes defense policy, military modernization efforts, and the allocation of resources to maintain credible deterrence capabilities. Crisis stability. Deterrence also plays a role in crisis stability, where the goal is to prevent the escalation of conflicts and manage crises through effective deterrence measures. Non-proliferation. Deterrence is closely linked to efforts to prevent the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, including nuclear, chemical, and biological weapons. Non-proliferation efforts contribute to global stability and the maintenance of effective deterrence. Challenges and evolving dynamics. Cyber deterrence. In the modern era, cyber capabilities have become an integral part of deterrence strategies. Nations are increasingly focused on developing and enhancing cyber deterrence capabilities to protect against cyber attacks and intrusions. Gray zone conflicts. Deterrence strategies must also address gray zone conflicts, which fall below the threshold of traditional warfare. These conflicts may involve asymmetric tactics, disinformation campaigns, and other non-traditional methods that challenge traditional deterrence frameworks. Strategic communication. Effective communication is essential in deterrence efforts. Clear and consistent messaging, both to potential adversaries and allied nations, is crucial for maintaining the credibility of deterrence. Alliance dynamics. Deterrence and alliances. Deterrence often operates within the context of alliances and partnerships. Strong alliances can bolster deterrence efforts by demonstrating collective resolve and shared security commitments. Extended deterrence and assurance. Nations often provide extended deterrence assurances to their allies, reinforcing the idea that an attack on an ally will result in a collective response. What are some examples of deterrence in strategic defense strategy? Deterrence in strategic defense can be observed through various examples across different contexts and regions. Here are some examples of deterrence in strategic defense. Nuclear deterrence. United States and Russia. The nuclear arsenals of the United States and Russia have historically served as a form of mutual deterrence, with both nations maintaining a nuclear triad of land-based intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBMs, submarine-launched ballistic missiles, SLBMs, and strategic bombers. This capability is designed to deter potential nuclear aggression and ensure strategic stability. North Korea. North Korea's development of nuclear weapons and ballistic missile capabilities is often cited as a form of deterrence, intended to dissuade potential adversaries from military intervention or regime change. Historical example of nuclear deterrence. Cuban Missile Crisis. The Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962 was a critical test of nuclear deterrence. The standoff between the United States and the Soviet Union over the deployment of Soviet missiles in Cuba showcased the high stakes of nuclear brinkmanship and the role of deterrence in preventing escalation to full-scale conflict. Conventional deterrence. NATO Alliance. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, relies on conventional deterrence through a combination of military exercises, forward deployment of forces, and interoperability among member states. This is aimed at deterring potential aggression and ensuring the collective defense of member nations. Taiwan Strait. The military capabilities of the United States and its allies in the Indo-Pacific region, such as Japan, serve as a form of conventional deterrence in the context of the Taiwan Strait. This is intended to dissuade military action against Taiwan and maintain regional stability. Historical example of conventional deterrence. NATO's response to Soviet expansion. Throughout the Cold War, NATO's conventional forces, combined with the alliance's collective defense commitment, provided a deterrent against Soviet expansionism in Europe. This included the deployment of troops, military exercises, and forward presence to signal resolve and deter potential aggression. Extended deterrence. United States and South Korea. The United States provides extended deterrence assurances to South Korea as part of their alliance, signaling a commitment to defend South Korea in the event of aggression from North Korea. This serves as a deterrent against potential military actions by North Korea. NATO's extended deterrence. NATO's extended deterrence commitments extend to all member states, demonstrating the alliance's resolve to provide collective defense and deter potential aggression against any member nation. Gray zone conflicts. Disinformation and influence operations. Deterrence efforts now encompass countering disinformation and influence operations, which can be used as tools of coercion and destabilization. Nations are working to enhance their capabilities to deter and respond to such activities. Strategic communication and crisis management. Berlin Airlift. During the Berlin Airlift in 1948 to 1949, the United States and its allies used strategic communication and decisive action to deter Soviet efforts to isolate West Berlin. The successful airlift demonstrated resolve and commitment to the defense of democratic West Berlin. Crisis management during the Korean War. The Korean War saw the United States and its allies engage in crisis management and deterrence efforts to prevent the conflict from escalating into a broader conflagration. Deterrence played a role in managing the crisis and preventing wider hostilities. Deterrence through indirect military support. Deterrence through indirect military support involves the use of military aid, training, and resources to bolster the capabilities of a partner or proxy force with the aim of deterring an adversary's aggressive actions. Here is an example about this approach. Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. The response of the United States and its allies to the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan in 1979 demonstrated the use of deterrence through indirect military support to Afghan resistance forces. This approach aimed to raise the costs of Soviet intervention and deter further expansionist actions. The Soviet invasion of Afghanistan provides insights into the use of deterrence through indirect military support and the role of asymmetric strategies in managing conflicts. Here are more details about this historic event. Background. In December 1979, the Soviet Union intervened in Afghanistan, aiming to prop up the communist government in Kabul. The invasion was met with international condemnation, and the United States, along with its allies, responded with a strategy of deterrence and resistance support. Deterrence through indirect military support. The United States, along with other countries, provided extensive support to Afghan resistance forces, known as the Mujahideen, people who engage in jihad, through the supply of weapons, training, and financial assistance. This approach was designed to raise the costs of Soviet intervention and deter further expansionist actions in the region. Asymmetric warfare and deterrence. The conflict in Afghanistan demonstrated the effectiveness of asymmetric warfare and the use of irregular tactics in deterring a major military power. The Mujahideen's ability to sustain a protracted insurgency and inflict significant losses on the Soviet forces showcased the role of asymmetric strategies in deterrence. Impact on Cold War dynamics. The Soviet intervention in Afghanistan and the subsequent U.S.-led response contributed to a significant shift in Cold War dynamics. The conflict highlighted the limitations of Soviet military power and its vulnerability to asymmetric resistance, impacting perceptions of Soviet strength and resolve. Legacy and lessons learned. The Afghan experience provided valuable lessons for future conflicts and interventions, particularly regarding the role of unconventional warfare, external support for resistance movements, and the dynamics of deterrence in asymmetric contexts. The Soviet invasion of Afghanistan and the subsequent U.S.-led strategy of deterrence through support for Afghan resistance forces demonstrate the complexities of deterring major military interventions and the role of asymmetric warfare in shaping strategic outcomes. Summary. Deterrence in strategic defense strategy involves the use of military capabilities to dissuade adversaries from initiating aggressive actions. It aims to convince potential adversaries that the costs and risks of pursuing hostile activities outweigh any potential gains. These deterrence strategies have been employed by various nations to shape the security environment, prevent conflict, and maintain stability. They rely on the credible demonstration of military capabilities, the communication of clear red lines, and the assurance of a robust response to aggression. Subscribe to our channel to get more military knowledge.